Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn about elements of public relations. So we have already discussed what is public relations, the need of public relations, and how public relations how public relations evolved in India and abroad. So this is very important thing in public relations. Elements of public relations or components of public relations. So the heart of public relation is not to sell products, but to produce a favorable image of a company and to improve it if necessary. So I've already told you this particular message in the last class as well. So this is like basically what we do with public relations. So it is a two-way communication, and we what we do with public relation is like we try to improve the goodwill of your company or the image of your company, or you are trying to produce a favorable image of your company. To repeat, it is a deliberate, planned, and sustained effort to establish and maintain mutual understanding between an organization and its public. See, public relations act as a bridge between the organization and its public, and it has certain elements, and they are: the first one is human relations. So what is human relations? See the image. It's like very nice image, right? I got it from the web, and this image actually shows what is human relations. So human relations is basically it is getting well along with public, both internal and external. And no man can work in vacuum. Each person who works in an organization has to get along with others. He should be aware of other and show interest in his progress as you do for your own. Human relations deal with feelings and attitude of people as they interact with each other. So it is like you getting well with the public. It's like so you have like your friend. You How do you select a group of friends? You all have friends, right? How do you select that particular group? You just see whether that person gets along with you, or you just see whether that person gels with you, right? So in that manner, you actually develop something called a friendship, right? So just if you see, like if you notice, you can see that most of your friends, you know what you call the best friend, your best friend, your best buddy gets along with you very well. That's why that person is your friend. So in public relations, you have to have a relationship with everyone, even the internal public and the external public. The same relation. See, that is the most important thing about human relations in public relations. Okay, and if you take like see the fundamentals of human relations cannot be ignored in public relations, and there are three fundamental things. So what are they? You are familiar with that also. Okay, there is a man's sense of dignity, okay, and the basic human rights that others must respect, and the need for security, and the need of human recognizing and appreciation of what another has done or achieved. See, so everybody expects all these things from others. So these are, you can call, the basic needs in terms of human relations. So if you can do this particular thing, then you can become a good PR practitioner. If you just think whether you get along with everybody really well. If you are kind of a popular person in your class, then you can become a good public relations practitioner. Okay. See, the second point is empathy. Empathy is a very common term, and everybody knows about empathy, right? Yes. So, empathy is the power of understanding the feeling of others. For instance, feeling sorry for others is sympathy. So, people often get confused with empathy and sympathy. right? So empathy is like, you stand in, the other person's shoes and see things from there. See, it's easy to say, oh my, see, something happened to your friend, and all you can say, oh, so poor thing. So whatever thing happened to her, it's really sad. See, that is sympathy. But empathy is different. Empathy, like, you understand. You stand in that person's shoes, and you understand, and you see things from her point of view. Then what happens? You actually change yourself, and you, like, you probably help her, you can help that, your friend. And this empathy is very much required, especially in crisis management and all. See, crisis arise every time. So when you understand the feeling of others only, you will be able to take the correct measures during this crisis. Otherwise it will be a flop. Okay. And empathy is the primary prerequisite for a satisfying exposure in relationship, where a certain degree of depth of understanding is expected. So a depth of understanding, and that is to feel one's feeling, stepping into the boots of another who is affected. So when you think, like, especially, okay, something happening in our place, like especially COVID. Now it's COVID. Last year we had flood. Before that also we had flood. So the affected people, we say, oh my God, yeah, some like happened to them. This thing happened to them, really bad. I mean, really so sad. So sad. You can express your, sympathy towards them like this. How can you show your empathy? Yes, probably you work for them, you share what you have with them, and you understand their position, and you just go to their house, and you help them to clean their houses. So these are all part of empathy. Okay. And empathy should be present in day-to-day interactions of the manager of public relations, which promotes a kind of equality of understanding. So these kinds of things, so when you have empathy, that creates an understanding. Okay. And the third is persuasion. So what is persuading? So there are two things usually related to this. One is forcing and one is persuading. Forcing is something like, you will tell others, like, you have to do this thing, it's a must. If you say like that, that is a forcing. And persuasion is like, you are persuading them, you are convincing them. If you do it, it will be good for you. So you are convincing them, if you do it, that will be good. So that is kind of, an important thing in public relations, because you see, you have an agenda in your mind, you want others to do it. There are two ways: you can force them, you can persuade them. So the second option is, actually good for you, especially your public relations. Okay. See, if you compel a person to do something, that would lead to, like, kind of, a kind of, problem, right? If you persuade them, so that is different, right? Even, like, sometimes if you want to, your parents can sometimes force you to join for a course. And if they can convince you, like, if you take this course, this would be really good, and you will get jobs here, jobs in abroad. And if they can convince you, that is great, that is persuading. Forcing is different. They have an agenda, they want you to join for a course which they want, and they can do it in two manner. One is, like, forcing you to join that course. Another thing is persuading you to join in that course. So which one is good? Of course, persuasion. Next is dialogue. So dialogue is like a conversation with some purpose. Okay, so dialogue is usual dialogue, so that dialogue is not that is not mentioned here. So here the dialogue means a conversation with some purpose, and it's a reasonable exchange of ideas, bringing into being a new form of knowledge. The use of dialogue is for influencing behavior. So I told you, if you want to persuade, you need to have a dialogue, right? So this is like exchanging, like, you talk to them, they ask you questions, and you have to clarify them. It's like, a kind of mutual thing. You talk and they talk, and you kind of, convince. So if a dialogue takes place only, you can actually convince the people. Okay, it's not bargaining. Okay, it's not a bargaining thing, but it's kind of, kind of negotiating things, like, you are like actually, making them understand, like, what it is all about, whatever is your agenda. And the last one is communication. So there can be no mutual understanding without communication. That is clearly understood phenomenon, right? So you have to have, something called communication. You need to communicate, then only you can develop something called a mutual understanding. See, if somebody is like, you always choose your friends according, how do you choose your friends? You first talk to them. If you feel like, they gel with you, or if they are okay with you, or they have yeah, similar, if you can find similar traits or characteristics as yours, so you probably start talking to them, then there develops something called a friendship. So communication is very important, right? So you want to get to know them, so for that you need to use communication. And there are few problems in life that real communication cannot resolve. So if that notion sounds far-fetched, perhaps that is because what we normally call communication is not real. So, real communication is that experience of being totally understood by another person. So, communication, what we study is like, exchange of ideas, exchange of ideas, facts, and all, or, you are informing something to the other people. So, that is basic communication, the communication fundamentals. But here in the public relations context, the communication is that experience of being totally understood by another person. Okay, so these are the main elements or components of public relations. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask me in the forum, or you can we can just discuss that thing in the live class. So hope you have enjoyed this session. So thank you so much. Thank you.